Hello everyone, I want to welcome you to my YouTube channel. This is Steve, starting the second session of the FastNote tutorial. We left off talking about the FindNoteScriptQuery, which is basically, if you look in the last video, this is the function that's passing the data that's found in the records after it searches through the access records. So just go ahead and watch that video if you need to follow up. I'm not going to go back and explain all that right now. So what we're doing is we're going to be passing in those fields. So what I did is I took this apart, spent some time with it so that I can be very accurate on my explanations here. So these are all the fields and what they're all about. So these are everything that's being passed in, and remember, it's just everything being passed into these fields right here. All these parameters are being passed down here into this function, because that's how functions work. They pass by value or whatever. So anyways, the first one here is NoteScriptQuery, and this is, if you look at this dot fields, this is how you access a record in Access. So it's going to look for NoteScript title, which is basically, as an example, I'm going to use the promotions expiring, so it's looking for a promotions expiring. That's what will be found in that field. Make a note there. And the next one here is keeping track, and to keep in mind, this first one here, I need to mention this. This is static, so it's, well actually the first one, I'm sorry, is the record. The second one is static, so it's just whatever you type in. It's being compared here against what's in the database to match it. That's how the search works. It says, is it wrong account? Search that field, RS1, and I wrote it down here. So RS1 is this one right here. It's NoteScript title, or my little list over here will show you right here, NoteScript title. So it's basically pulling in the field for NoteScript title there. So that's how it compares. If you need to look at it this way, it's saying check what's in hard-coded in the expiring and check this record right in here, all these records, to see if we have a match based on whatever you type into that parameter right here, once again. So hopefully that makes sense. And once we have that data, we're going to just go through all the other records and grab the fields. It's going to grab the NoteScript code ID. Yeah, I've got to put this one in here. I should have just made a note. It's this one actually right here. And that's the record. And then it's going to put in NoteScript ID. And this is trying to figure out why I had two of these in here. There should be two actually. So just as an example, I think these are the ones that's comparing. So it's comparing script note to hard-coded to the actual record itself. This is the hard-coded field because the first one is the actual record. That's right. Okay, and then after we got that, we're going to get the heading. NoteScript heading. If you go over here, you look for the heading, it's going to get this section right here for promotions. Oh wait, make sure I got the right one. It's promotions expired. Yes, it's in promotions. So I'll just make a note over here to show you. Record promotions, and that's used to display down here in the search box later to kind of tell you which ones that it found in the records. And this is the checkbox. It's just keeping track of whatever checkbox is in the field. In this example, we'll have this one. Let's say checkbox is that one, and I'll just put it in quotes to indicate that it's a record. The next thing it's doing here is it's looking in the scroll section. If you look right here, this is the FindNoteScriptQuery I showed you up there earlier. So it's basically looking and seeing where it's going to scroll the data. And all this is doing is just keeping track of numbers. I kind of explained this in the last video, but it's keeping track of how far you're scrolling in this window here. And if you look over here at this number right here, this one should change once I click on it correctly. You see it changing there? That's just going to tell you where it's going to scroll to. Is it going to scroll to the top when you find that search? Is it going to scroll to disputes or whatever? Next thing is the status field. And this one just contains, in this section it contains a PR. This is used for the scrolling. It's used for actually particularly how to find the particular area to scroll to. Say record Oh, I put the data in there, but that's the status field right there. So it's a status record, and that's what the data looks like. And then we got the, oh, I stuck that in the wrong spot. And then we got the InfoNum. Go over here, you can see InfoNum is just a number. It's just a 1 in this case, so we just put a 1 in there. And then it's got the CrowCap MSG. Remember, this is just that data that searches the record or the intranet document at work so that we can look up information and educate customers. This one is just hyperlink. This one is not being used. I was going to convert my static hyperlinks onto the database, but I decided not to do it in case the database failed sometimes. In the notes display, this is finally keeping track of what's in notes display, which is right here. So this is the script messages that'll be notated to an account once you copy that over. I could probably just call these data instead of records. Record wouldn't make sense. Record is like the name. This is the data being found in the record. Just to be particular. Oops. Okay, so now that we have all this data, we're going to be able to use it and start displaying it to fields and doing stuff with it. The next thing we do is we keep track of the background form color. So this is the user form right here. You'll see user form 1. It's just the whole form. So we can keep track of what color. That's just so when I change the color, it knows what color it is, the foreground color. Next thing we're doing here, I wrote a little note here, NoteScript append. This displays notes display in a variable. It's used to include extra data selected in combo boxes and text boxes. And I'll show you that down here later. It keeps track of basically stuff like in here, stuff in here, you know, anywhere where there's data found, like there's a checkbox here and so on. And the examples I have is like the disputes. I wrote them down here below, but you'll see them disputes, ICA, new account category. We'll come back to that. Okay. And the next thing we got is, I lost my place here. Let's see. Oh, right there. Okay, so right there, got all that. The next thing we're going to do is set a label here to search. This is giving an example. If you type in late, and remember that's in this window up here that you always do the search by, then this is going to point to the late fee checkbox. In this case, if we just type in promo, which is what's right here, it's going to search a promo. Let me just run it to show you. Just for those who are watching for the first time and may have not watched the other videos, just to kind of be demonstrative here. So I turned on the database here. That's what this is all about. Home is just for my home computer because it defaults to work otherwise. And I type in promo, or just PROM. Right here is the promotions expiring one. It's already found it right there. But of course I can scroll through these. But that's the one it finds. So it's basically search that. And that's what this is doing. It's just saying if you typed in promo, you can just make this say promo or whatever. This points to the text box for this one right here. This is the text box, the checkbox for promotions expiring. I'll say checkbox promotions expiring as an example, since we're using that one as an example. Okay. And the next thing we got going on here is we're going to be keeping track of all the data in the arrays. Why do we want to keep track of arrays? Because we want to keep track of not just one record, but all the records, so we can use them and search through them later when we do the list view display and stuff like that. So it's basically all it's just doing to keeping track of kind of what was repeating there earlier, promotions expiring, all this data that's necessary to be displayed. The script data is right here. Static. The only ones we're not keeping track of is like the scroll. Actually, we're keeping track of the scroll section to make it scroll to the appropriate area, so it's pretty much keeping track of everything, so that I can see here. And then this is going to add them to the list view. So I'll go back here, I'll stop this to run this again and show you. It's going to add everything right here to lstSearchFound, which is this one right here, and it's going to just show all those boxes. So if I run the example again, I have to keep swiping back and forth, so bear with me on that. Try a different color. We'll just type in promo again, or prom, and we go down here. If you go over here to search, you'll see it's displaying everything accurately here. So basically all this is doing is just displaying this right here, this lstSearchFound, add items, save note script increment. This is saving these values right here. And I'll show you where these are coming from in just a second here. So promo credit already found, promotions expiring. Based on the search. Remember, it found and matched the search, so it was now able to display the list view. So I'm going to skip real quickly over here, and I'll come back here in a second. Let me just make sure I save. I'm just going to mark this with a little thing for now so I can come back to it. We'll just call LST item to show you where it's getting that data. I had to stop it earlier, but it was in the promotion section, so I got these the script, I got, you know, the header titles on each of these. So promotions right here, you saw earlier it showed promotions expiring, and everything else in this list that is promotions. It doesn't just have to be in this section for promotions, it could be anywhere in here. So it's actually, take a look at this, it's actually searching through all of these too. So it's going from here at the very beginning all the way down through the very end to here. So it's doing it's doing a pretty fast search as it's going through it, and it's doing it very quickly. So at least as quickly as I could get it. So go back to my thing again. So now that we got that, we can do a display out to the screen. This is just a debug window for those who want to see. You can run it like when you're running. I guess it doesn't show up unless you actually run the program, but it displays information to keep track of what's going on in that field. So it just showed me the data. I did this for testing purposes. That's the whole idea, behind displaying what's in the array there. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to create a variable here, convert note script code ID, and just save it in another name. I just renamed it because I didn't want to use the actual name here to confuse it with other things, so I just made up a name that makes it more descriptive because it's converting a note script ID, basically converting the data. And down here, once we have that, we're going to get ready to pass this function here to display InfoCenter display. Our document work is called InfoCenter, and what it does is, this is the one thing I was telling you about, the intranet that we have that looks up information. It helps us educate our customers. And it's going to take all this data and pass it into a function here. So we'll have to keep track of InfoCenterDisplay and come back to that. I know it's down here somewhere. I think it's down here. It's way down here actually. So we'll come to that in just a second here. So it's going to pass in the convert status. This is just taken into record of status. If you recall earlier, the record status right here is just from the status field, which is in the database. It's just, in our example, it would be the promotions expiring, which is this PR field. And this is going to be used later to keep track of, like I said, the scroll data and stuff like that. I know it's kind of complicated, but keep in mind this was, as I mentioned before in other videos, this is like a 6-month program. It took me probably 6 to 7 months to build this thing. So it's a lot of involved in it. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to convert, and I'm sorry, not convert. We're going to create a number here, that right here for convert info, which is going to basically pass in data. Trying to figure out what is convert. This one may not be used. Convert info num. Did we use that one? We may have. I guess some of these I'm not using. I have to pass them in because they're still parameters, but I guess I'm not using that one, or I might be using it down here somewhere. Actually, it's down here. It passes it in later is what it does. The first time it does the scroll, and then later it captures the data. So anyways, we're going to pass that in. We're also going to pass in the Crow Cap MSG, and that's just basically this intranet document from work to locate the correct document. This is going to pass in the checkbox, so we want to locate the correct checkbox so we know which one is being displayed. And this is the hyperlink, which is kind of unused right now. Once we have that, we're going to now go to InfoCenterDisplay, and I'm going to quickly go up here because it's too many reoccurring InfoCenterDisplay functions in this program to really find it very quickly. So this is a faster way to find your document here. Just go to this little and get into a section where it shows up. So basically here, this is the InfoCenterDisplay that we are passing that data in, and I kind of showed up here in the fields here so you can keep track of the status is showing which note box was clicked. The status is our little message here, which is going to be used down here. Actually, it's used, not used in this section, but it's used in another program. I had it doing something in here before, and I think I erased it. But anyways, info num is going to pass in, of course, our info num, which is our number, and our cat message. And up here it says which checkbox in order was clicked. Example, 0 is the first category, 15, etc. last on. So it's keeping track of which checkbox you clicked on to basically know which one you're highlighting on. If I run the program again, I'll have to show it to you. So if you're clicking on this right here, this could be checkbox 1, this could be checkbox 2, 3, and so on. And then we've got the cut message. I just showed an example there. That's just for the 6060 roll one. And then the checkbox, this one is actually used for used to auto color in a green color when a node is clicked, scans through an array list. I just stop it again. I think I got to stop stopping this thing. Get a habit of stopping it all the time. Change it back to blue again. You can do any color you want. I don't know what particular color. We could even do blue here. It's kind of weird looking. Or green, I'm sorry, like a sea green. And promotion. I guess I'll leave that running so I can kind of come back to it here. So I use the auto color in a green color when a node is clicked, and it basically puts it in green. So if I click on this, you'll see the box will turn green in the background. Well, actually some of these won't because I don't have them all set up that way, but if I click on some of these, like that one, you see it green highlights right there. That's what it's doing, is keeping track of the actual box you clicked on to know which one to color and which one not to color. And that's pretty much what this whole program does. It just activates the checkboxes and it passes in the colors to them, turns them on and off like a switch. Okay, and then finally the page, which is the last one here, is the hyperlink used to activate a browser link for the Info Center document, which is used down here or somewhere, yeah, down here later to navigate that page. Now I'll show you what that means here. You won't see it here, but over here there's a hidden browser. This is actually a document at work, so you won't be able to see any of this, but I'll just use like a page, for example, like Yahoo or whatever. And you can see Yahoo there is kind of displayed. So this is basically what this is doing. It's going to display data in this window, which would be my documents at work, which also works as a browser. And that's what it's doing there. And then we got down here, this is just the error. I didn't show this before, but you can capture errors. So if you have a crash, it'll go to example info center display crash, which is down here. And this is kind of a lengthy routine I have to print out error messages and tell me where data is happening in the program. I think it also does an emailing, but I think I turned it off. Let me just go double check it real quick here. Give you a little bit more exposure here. So right here, yeah, this is displaying in an error section. It displays data somewhere to the screen. And actually, you saw it earlier at the top there, but when it was in red. So it basically tells the errors that's going on in the program. It's kind of an error algorithm I have. And this was right here supposed to be emailing it to the appropriate person, but I didn't get that far with it. I had the emailing working, but the Outlook was kind of function on its protection, and I couldn't get it to work right, so I abandoned it. Anyways, let's go back to our program. I have to find it again. It's right here. Where's I was at the error message here somewhere. Let's see. Oh, I was in the InfoCenterDisplay. I need to go back to InfoCenterDisplay. It's easy to get lost to forget what you're talking about sometimes, but right here, InfoCenterDisplay. So, right here, after we go to error message, you saw that. And this is another box I have which highlights the appropriate checkbox. This is what I was showing you earlier that does that green thing. I'll kind of show you this one too. I shouldn't get it right here, I just noticed. Right here. So this is going to kind of explain this real quickly, it's going to pass in the checkbox here, set an error message if there's an error to crash like we just reviewed. Keep track of the form color. Keep track of specific boxes like CSO, collections, in-store, third-party, since they're not found in that search list. Basically, what it is right here. Let me see something here. It's a checkbox for CSO, in-store, checkbox. I didn't review what this one. The condition needed to prevent checkbox from changing combo box to background color. I had some reason I had these working. I did something with these CSO, collections, in-store, third party. I know I have this one. CSO, third party. Let me see something here. Third-party payments authorization. I had to do it for some. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, but it keeps track of them for some reason. I think it was some of the boxes that weren't being found over in here or something. It was keeping track of certain data. I think what it was is it says needed to prevent checkbox active from changing combo box to the background color. So it takes this control, whether this would be promo or whatever you clicked on, and it prevents it from changing the combo box to a background color. So I think it prevents it from being black or something like that. I don't know, but anyway, that's what this is doing. The whole idea of this is it turns it either green or it turns it the background color. So when you go through here and you saw me clicking on color set here and changing the form, it's basically keeping track of the color of that area in that section. So it can always turn it back to blue or whatever the color of the form is. That's the whole idea of that right there, the color BK. And that's a whole different function. I'm not even going to go show you where all that is. It's just another, it's used in this section right here. Right in here is where it's all taken care of. What's clicking on and changing the RGB for the correct box and stuff like that to show you what's going on with it. And I had a menu too before, but I don't know if I have it in here. I think I took it out. But anyways, yep. So let's get back to the other one so I don't lose my train of thought here. We were on the InfoCenterDisplay. Right there, InfoCenterDisplay. So, yep. So once we've already passed that in and gone to that highlight checkbox, we can locate the checkbox, turn it on and off based on what we're clicking on. We're going to set the background color to yellow, and that's just basically, that's just displaying up here in the top. I'll show you right here as I type in a search here. It's this one right here, this crow right here. So we call them crow documents, and it's this one right here. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to, let me see here, save backup copy at InfoCenter to save all clicked messages. Checkbox equals false. And InfoCenter backup InfoCenter number. I guess I'm clearing out some fields here. So basically, if there's no checkbox being clicked on or it's not finding it, it's just clearing the fields. That's all that's doing. And this is just navigating to the page I showed you earlier. So as you click, as you type in this, instantly over here, it's changing these pages. And I'll show you, watch this link at the top, it'll change, even though you won't see a page because there's no documents on this computer. Now, you have to kind of, I'll probably have to expand it for you to see it, the whole thing. Now watch as I scroll through here, you'll see it change. If you look, pay attention to this area right here, you'll see this number change as I'm going through it. See the number change in there? So it's keeping track of documents that are loading on my work computer. Okay. And I almost stopped it. I'm glad I didn't. So basically that's all it is. We're going to go back to the other program, which was our regular. Finally back to here. Down here, it was after InfoCenterDisplay, right here. So now we're going to start converting some data, the status, and we already know that this one here, safe to say, show InfoCenter documents and keep track of checkboxes, like that. And we're going to finally, after we convert this, we're just converting this one. See, it converts status record from integer to a string. I forget why I did that, but for some reason I had to change that, probably because of error crash or something. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to scroll the window. So I'm going to go to the SmartNoteScroll to kind of show you how this one works. You're going to get a pretty good insight. And let me see how long this video is so far. 26. I'm getting pretty close. I'm trying to cut this one so it's not so long. But we're going to, anyways, we're going to get a pretty good insight of what's really going on here. I don't want to lose track of where I am. So SmartNoteScroll is where I'm at now. So remember SmartNoteScroll, and I should be able to get back to FindNoteScriptQuery here. I don't know why I keep scrolling up. Okay, so FindNoteScroll, SmartNoteScroll, sorry. Right there. Yeah, and I can flip back to Find when I'm ready here. So hopefully I don't forget that. Okay, so the next thing we do here is we're going to be doing that scroll data. And I'll show you here on the outside here as I don't know if I can minimize this. Maybe you can see it a little bit better. Here. This right here, these are frames right here. So these right here, the little boxes you see with the little separate windows here and there, and they're kind of in their own little boxes there. Those are the frames. And this is the IntelliSense that activates the scrolling. So the scroll top activates and will scroll to whatever number you put into this. And the scroll to is just being passed into the data here, everywhere where a SmartNoteScroll is found. So let's go back here real quick and see what was being passed in that first field. It was passing in the scroll section. And if you recall earlier, scroll section up here, right here, is basically passing in whatever data is found in, I'll put over here, the scroller array. And if you want to see that a little bit further here, I'll try not to get lost on this. There's a lot involved in this. Right here, these are all the scrollers that are taking place. And these are the numbers that you saw being scrolled in that window when I demonstrated earlier. As we were scrolling to the box, you saw that number changing over here. That's just keeping track of what area we have scrolled to. It's pretty intense, but yeah. So I think I just lost my little box again. Yeah, sometimes it doesn't, if you're not in the right section, it doesn't show up. You have to be, I think, in a function. Okay, so let's go back to it. Okay, so we kind of figured out, well, actually I need to go back to SmartNoteScroll, excuse me. SmartNoteScroll, right here. So it's saying if there's fees found in here, so if this code value right here is fees, then it's going to scroll the window. So basically, there's certain sections I have here that's scrolling particularly. And the fees is right here somewhere, right here. This section right here, scrolling the fees. And there's a PayPal rep, it's scrolling there. I forget why I did this, but I had it scrolling to particular windows. I think because they weren't found, all because these probably weren't found in my list or something like that. When data is not found in my FindNotes queries, I was using it up here. But that's basically all it's doing, is it's scrolling. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about that, but it takes too long to explain all that. And then we're going to use this variable called extract code to get the left 2 digits of that appropriate area. Now, if you go here back to the database, you'll see this here status here. You see with the little thing after it. So it's basically checking this field, so it knows when it finds this. For example, it finds, doesn't matter, 12 months here. Then if it sees a PR, it's going to know the correct area to scroll to for that section. And that's how it changes each one by passing in, checking to say, is scroller equal to PT? Go into this program. If it is, if we found the left 2 digits of it here, then we're going to scroll to that section, so on, so on. So I kind of hard-coded all this stuff in here. So let's get to the promo one here, which is PR. Since that's the example we've been using right here for promotion. So it's basically saying if we have PR H1, oh wait, actually, you know what? That's not right. I'm sorry. Let's see. Left of ACH2, extract code equals code. So code is being passed into the second variable. I think I might have put it over here. I wrote some of these down here so I don't lose track of them. SmartNoteScroll, I don't think I put it in here. Thought I did. Oh no, this list view is down below, so I probably need to go back to it. Let's just go back to a SmartNoteScroll document here. I got to scroll back up here again. Sorry about that. It looks like it's only a few up here, so SmartNoteScroll right here is passing in the section. I'm just going to quickly copy this and go back to SmartNoteScroll. And I'm just going to put it up here real quickly. Put it in a comment so we can kind of see it. Actually, not here. I'm going to move it down here where it should be. Since we're looking at this section, we'll just go down here. So right there. So you can see it's passing in the scroll section, and we look here and see code is the convert status. And over here, convert status is basically keeping track of the status field. So that is actually right. It's keeping track of this data being found in here. So I was right. I was thinking of something else. But so these are kind of matching, kind of similar to what's over here. But for some reason, I had to separate these. I forget why I did that, but probably just for simplicity or something. But that's what it's doing. So hopefully that makes sense. You see, as it's finding what's in each of the individual fields, it knows how to scroll to that correct document. If we go back to the actual program here, and as you see it, as we're clicking on this, it's instantly scrolling this window over here very quickly. You see this window changing over here as it's locating the correct documents for each one of these. So pretty smart. It knows where to go and stuff like that. But that was a pretty big journey getting that one working. So. And that's the whole idea. And then we're just going to display and erase some labels when we're done if there's nothing being found, basically. So let's go back to the FindNoteScroll so we don't add too much to this. Make this thing so long, probably about 30 minutes, 32. I'm getting too close here. So I wanted to try to finish this up. I kind of had to split the list view into another one. So we got that. And we got the SmartNoteScroll. Now it's just going to start converting numbers here. Keep track of info number, CoCap message. I'll try to save some time here. Okay, so we did this one. I'm not sure why we're doing this one twice. I think because I had to recover the data or something and pass it back in, but I don't know. I might not even need this one right here. But anyways, the next thing we're going to do, if you remember this earlier, this denote description append, it was commented out here. Not commented, I'm sorry, it's cleared out. So this basically is just clearing a string so that we can start afresh with that screen, and it's going to add this to this array called notes display, or variable, I'm sorry, and converting it to a string. Take care of appended items from extra text boxes drop downs. So what this is doing is keeping track of everything that's not only in here, but also what's in these individual text text boxes and these combo boxes right here. So if you put in something here, it knows, so that it can put it up in this window. I think it's supposed to do, but some of these might not be in here. Let's see. So the ones I have in here is the disputes, for example. So let's look for disputes here. I can also click these buttons here to go to it. So right here you see facts, and which is what you see over here. It's going to show facts, and it's going to show facts dispute. You'll see this up in the window, CS facts dispute, which is exactly what this shows right here. Facts mail notes customer request to drop down box is right here, fax mailed notes. That's the drop down box, which is being found somewhere else in the program. But anyways, it's keeping track of what's in this checkbox. So as you click this, it'll change this one from fax to, it should have, but it didn't. I might need to fix that. I don't know why it's doing that. I was trying to make it as clear as possible, so if you're changing stuff in here, this window is changing. It looks like I have a little bug in there somewhere. Not a huge nuisance, but anyways, so we got that going on. And then we got the ICA category doing the same thing. So if I go to the ICA category, just click the I here. We got drop down boxes here for this. So this one is probably not even necessary. Let me see. Notes by rep. Oh, so this is keeping track of the field down here. So if I just type in my name, it might work. I guess it doesn't matter. I think I have to click this or something. Let me see. I might need to work on this section. I notice this is not displaying it. At least I'm not figuring out how to do it here. ICA notes by... See, ICA notes. Maybe I have to click the ICA or something. Let me see. Because it doesn't display it real time, so it can't figure out as soon as you click on this checkbox what's going on unless I set it to the checkbox. So this is just working when you're typing in search. So if I probably research this, it might work. If I go back to that field, maybe it'll work. I don't know. Reimburse payment of ICA notes by... Supposed to pick up this field, but might be something I need to work on. But anyways, that's what it's supposed to do. I wonder if I can get any of these to work. This one is the new account, and this is the update. Let's go down to the update to save some time here. So update says just keep track of what's being typed into the box here. TXT authorized user. It's always supposed to keep track of what's in here. So if we put our name in there, it's supposed to keep a track of it here. It doesn't keep track of it here, but it does keep track of it over here. So if I go here, for example, put that down here, and I display notes, well, I clicked on everything else here. I'd have to clear it, but you'll see in the window here, it does keep track of, and let me just clear this real quick to go back to this box. It does keep track of what was typed in here and what was typed here. So that's probably what all this is doing down here somehow. So if I go in here, we'll go back to the disputes example. It does keep track of what's in the box down here. So if I type in fax, mail, whatever, and I put it down here, you'll see it added the customer request to fax dispute, customer request to fax dispute. And if I change this to mail and I display notes again, it'll change it to mail. So it's working there. So anyways, we got that. To try to nail this down a little bit faster here. Then we're just displaying everything to the appropriate boxes. This is keeping track of what's going on in this list view window as we search. So let's do a new search or something. So it's just going to display this data that's being found in here, and that's all this is doing right here. This is saving an array that's being passed in to the correct list view box to show the data. And I'll probably have to divide the list view into another video because this one's getting really long. This is changing the background color to yellow. Not sure why I did that one. Turn NoteScript's title label to color. I think it's probably up here. Oh, it's this right here. So it's keeping track of this right here. This is going to be the yellow color for it. And this is the dark blue right here, the background for it. And then it just increments a new record here. And this is just more keeping track of more arrays. Display record, notes display, and text box. So it displays basically the data we saw here earlier. This is keeping track of if there's a hyperlink not found, then there's no InfoCenter document, doesn't exist. If we go up here, for example, and we try to open the browser, and there's not a document found for that one, then it won't display anything. So You won't be able to see it here, I don't think. But if there's no note display found, it'll say contains no display note. Now I'll show you this. So if you just type in something here, I don't know, my name or something. Oh, no, I'm sorry. This is pulling the database over here. So over here, we'll probably have to find one where it says, let's see, contains no display note. I think if I go down here, I might be able to do it. Let me see. I think it's in the X section down here, which is the extras. And find one that's not in here. Oh, I think, well, maybe it's over here. Let me see. I can't remember. Somewhere here. It's supposed to say it up here, no note found or something like that. But anyway, wherever it is. Not going to waste much time. That's what it does. And to finally end this, I'll keep track of TXT search results, which is this field right here. So we'll type in found value this time. Trying to think of one I could do disputes or something like that. Right here, it's going to show all this. These are all the disputes, but that in the category where they were found. These were all found in disputes, the pending status. And if you go here, you'll see that data right in here too. Just kind of another way of organizing it. And then finally, at the very end here, if the checkbox is not null, means we found a checkbox, we're going to change it to yellow, which is why you see these checkboxes in yellow. The next video I'll go into try to explain. It'll talk about how the list view actually does its search and how it's very similar though. Basically, it just searches. Now, I might be able to throw it in here if it's not too long. Let me just look up. It's called lstSearchItems, I think. lstSearchFound. Because we're done with the FindNoteScriptQuery. So right here, it searches through the list box here. You keep track of this. Is just basically showing in here. So as we're typing in this window here, it's instantly displaying information in this diverse items here. So like as we mentioned earlier, whatever you type in there is instantly going to show. And you notice this is picking up a lot of different data. You can even scroll down through here, and there's a bunch more down here. So this is going through to display all these instantly into this list view. And this is basically passing that data from the FindNoteScroll to kind of narrow this down. Check to see if it's null here. If it is, that means that there's a record found. If it's not, it's greater or less than null, that means we found a record here. And this is basically looking in notes display real quick here. If I go over here to notes display, you'll see I had a null in here where I didn't want a script for that one. But sometimes you don't need a script. If we're just basically just looking up stuff like this, UPD doesn't need a note script, because if you go here and you type in UPD, it doesn't find a checkbox, but it finds that category. I didn't show you this before, but it'll basically move to that category for the update account info. If I just type in STMT, it goes to statement and so on. And that's the section right here you can see in a little bit in kind of the gold or the light brown area. So anytime I type in something there, it'll go to that category. That's just kind of a sort of quicker way to go through those categories. And you can kind of see they're all labeled there, so you know which one is doing what. Kind of faster search keys again. And then I did those because sometimes you can't reach stuff. And I forget why I did it. I probably did it before I made these buttons or something. I left it in there. Anyways, that's basically all it's doing. It says if there's no note, then contains no display note. You just saw that right here. There's no, so I've been trying to get the display, but there it is. It didn't have a display note for this one. Oh, I just now realized what that is. That's just because if you type in that, there's no checkbox for it. That's what it means by no display note, because we don't need to document anything just for ICA. We need an actual specific information about it. Okay, and then this is doing all the search through the so I know this video is going to be probably like 40 minutes long, so I'm sorry about that. It's already 44 minutes. It's going to be a long one. So I'll try to quickly speed this up. So search through the checkbox here, get the value, pass it in the box. Search through the list view, and check to see if it matches what you typed in here. Check if a search was found. Record date is greater than 0. That means we found something based on the search up here. And then we're going to do the scroll. You saw it scroll to the box here. And that's just so if you go over here in the list view again, it's basically this section right here. This note scroll is being in here. As I'm moving through this box, it's instantly scrolling the window just like before, except inside the list view this time. So hyperlink, if there's no hyperlink found, then no, this one's actually unused. And this is just basically keeping track of the Info Center documents and allowing you to navigate. This allows you to navigate to the appropriate URL found in hyperlink. So this is kind of all unused at the moment, but the hyperlinks are found later down in the program here. They're kind of hard-coded here. I don't want to lose track of where I am here, so let's see, lstSearchFound. So they're way down here at the bottom here. So they're farther down here. I think they're under this. Yeah, farther down. Right here. These are all the hyperlinks are found in here. And these are basically those things you saw when I clicked on, when I clicked on this here. All this section right here is passing in these hyperlinks. So as it's scrolling through the pages you saw earlier, it changes the document at work, so I know which document I'm looking at. So it's very quick. I can't show you that since I'm not at work, but anyways, let's go back to the LST. Knew that was going to happen. Get me into a function here. Okay. LST, where are you? lstSearchFound. I wonder why it's not in my list here. Maybe it's at the bottom here. Huh, no, it's just not even in here. InfoCenter, insert record, insert record. Oh, notice it's not even in here. For some reason it's not picking up that one that I see. So we'll go back to it this way anyway. Get there faster. Oh, right here. So the final thing we're going to do is check if a database is active, and this is used to show the NoteScript heading in the text box under the search tab. This activates the appropriate, this is going to be displaying data over here somewhere, I think. It allows me to activate and use this section. I won't do it here because it'll crash the program, but it allows me to do my database searches based on the information I'm finding in these fields. So it's pretty complex. But that's all. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the video for now. Thanks for watching, guys. Sorry this was so long.